Good morning and welcome to this presentation that is given to you by the Florida Conference. I wanted to say happy Sabbath to each one of you that are connected here today to learn about very important issues that are concerning our church development on those days. I would like to thank each one of you for getting this new normal way of getting information, of getting connected, of being involved in the church activities, which is the online, this online methodology by YouTube, Facebook, Zoom. This is happened to be the new normal. So I would love to be face to face with each one of you, to meet you face to face, to learn from you, to answer any of your questions that you are having and providing. So thank you very much for your participation here today. Today we are going to talk about bullying. Bullying is one of the most concerning issues nowadays, either at the schools, at the community and families, and at church. It do happen at church too. We are going to talk about this issue. We're going to present the causes and symptoms, and we are going to present also some ways of deal with the situation. So before we started, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Yadiel Muñoz, and I am a clinical social worker that works with families, adolescents, and individuals in general. We have been dealing with this issue of bullying from a couple of years already. We have seen some of the causes and some of the ways for treatment that I would like to share with you today. So let's go ahead and start it. The issue, like I said, is about bullying. And what is bullying? Bullying is one of the most common type of harassment here today. According to the American Psychological Association, bullying, APA, bullying is a type of harassment, an aggressive behavior in which someone intentionally and repeatedly causes injury and annoyance to other person. Bullying can take the form of more subtle physical contact, words, or actions. The bullied individual generally have trouble defending himself and does nothing to cause the bullying. It's very interesting that the people that gave this concept on the American Psychological Association, they put that the victim does not cause anything to promote the bullying to them. Sometimes we blame the victims and we blame the people that receive the bullying, like what should have been done before, or what did you do something to provoke the people. But in reality, victims does not cause anything related to bullying. So bullying is very, very common in schools than anywhere else. How is this? Our children, either children's adolescents, they happen to spend most of their time at the schools than anywhere else. The school is not only a place for them to study, it's not only a place for them to achieve their academic goals, it's also a place where they do social interaction with others. It's a social space. 90% of the 24 hours of the day, our children spend most of their time at the schools, meeting new people, meeting their friends, meeting their enemies also. I'm saying the enemies because, yes, in a social environment, there are friends, there are enemies, there are people who can get along with, there are people who cannot get along with. So for this is the social space, and we're thankful for that, because this is very important in our children's development for the future, for whenever they are adults. But like I said, bullying does not also happen at the schools. It also happens in any number of places, contexts, or locations. Sometimes the place is online, through a cell phone, through technology. Is not limited to telephones, email, chat rooms, instant messaging, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Facebook, online posting is considered bullying or cyberbullying in this case. Some acts of bullying can fall into criminal categories such as sexual harassment or assault. One thing to consider when we discuss all of this, when bullying escalates so high, it can turn into a criminal action. And another thing is that it doesn't discriminate among race, religion, and social status. In addition to that, race, religion, and social status is one of the most common causes for bullying. If you live in a place that most of the community or the population is not Christian, for being a Christian, you could be bullied. If you live in a place where your own race is the minority, you could suffer by bullying. If your physical aspect is different to the rest of the people, you can suffer from bullying. Some of the statistics, some of the data that we can compile here from the government says that 90% in the grades 9 to 12th grade has at least experienced some type of bullying in their lives. In the grades 6 to 12, 9% of the student has experienced cyberbullying already. And this is very concerning because children of 6th grade, how old are them? Let's say that 10, 11 years old are already navigating into the online media with the cell phone. How does the kid 10-year-old, 11-year-old has to be with accounts in the social media, experience this type of attack, experience this type of bullying, right? So another data, according to the National Education Association, I would like to share this with you, has shown that 160,000 children refuse to go to school every single day for fear of being bullied. If you have fear, if you are ashamed, if you are scared of other people, where you go at the school, there is a very high percent that you not only will suffer from that bullying, but also you probably are going to suffer the lower academic performance at the schools too. 70.6% of students report witnessing bullying at their school, and 71% says that bullying is a problem. It is really interesting how the data has shown that kids and students, they recognize that this is a problem, and sometimes adults, their parents, their family members, they don't recognize this as a problem, because back in our times, back when we were kids, not only me, but also all of the parents that are listening here today, bullying was not a problem, and we used to deal with the bullying with our own hands. So today, it has shown that 10% of a student who drop out of the school, they do it because of repeatedly constant bullying. Who wants to be at a social place? Who wants to be at the school? Who wants to be with other people if you don't feel good about it? You don't feel good being there. You're gonna drop out of the school. 10% of the students who drop out of the school, they do it because of bullying. Every month, this is another statistics, another data, 282,000 students are physically assaulted in some way in high school across the United States, and the number is growing. The data suggests that retaliation due to the bullying is one of the main motivators for school shootings in the United States. How does this can be possible, that the bullying has been a cause of for shootings? It shouldn't be like that. Each one of you has seen what happened in one of the schools here in Florida, especially in Parkland, a couple of years ago related to the bullying, right? Related to how people cannot find any other way that attacking another people and kill them because they don't know ways of dealing with the bullying. So it's something that has to be treated. We need to show our children and adolescents to defend themselves, but in a very smart way. 80%, 86% of the students surveyed that other children who tease and bully is the main reason adolescents resort to deadly violence at school. If you don't know other ways to deal with your own conflicts, with your own concerns, it's really high incident that you use violence in order to deal with this. 75% of the school shootings have been linked to bullying and cyberbullying. This is concerning. It's really something that our churches should do something in instructing our parents, our children in how to deal with this issue. 64% of students who bully do not report it. Who wants to report the bullying? Remember back in our times, the kid that used to tell the teacher everything that happened to him, we used to make even more bullying about that. For being a teller, for being that used to be linked to a symptom of weakness whenever you have to tell a teacher that something will happen to you, right? And probably my main concerning data related to bullying is that according to the World Health Organization, bullying is the leading cause of adolescent suicide. Adolescents, teenagers, they commit suicide for many reasons, but probably the leading cause of all those reasons is bullying. In the whole world, it's not only on the United States. And we can spend the whole day talking about some of the causes that happen to be a motivator for people to commit bullying or to receive bullying. Several factors can lead to bullying, including, like I said in the very beginning, religion, appearance, race, and social status. Some students who have graded self-confidence bully other students because they lack empathy and compassion for other people. How can a person can lack empathy or compassion towards another people? They can respond aggressively whenever they feel they are being threatened. The thing is, when a kid, the one that is committing the bullying to others, lack compassion and empathy, this has been shown that they lack the empathy because they don't receive empathy at their homes. They need to be attention-seeking, do certain behaviors, and react aggressively because this is the only way they know. So it's a very conflicting thing between the families and the way they raise their children. If I happen not to get love, any type of love in my own home, I won't be able to show love for anyone, for any other kid. On the other hand, some students who bully others, they want to be perceived as safe and brave enough. They want to feel awesome. They want to feel popular because they have low self-esteem, and this is something concerning really too, that they need to take in on others to feel good about themselves. Students whose parents abused them at home and ignored them ended up feeling depressed and lonely. And to express this resentment, what do? They bully the most vulnerable and innocent people and students at the schools. If you do this to me, the only way I will have to express all of this is attacking other people. This is the way they do it to me. This is the way I'm going to do to others. It's really interesting how students can react like that. Some of the symptoms. So it is really important that we as parents and professionals and leaders from church, we understand what is the some of the symptoms and how can we how can I say the word, recognize early the symptom for bullying. Anyone can be a victim of bullying. However, some children are at a greater risk to be bullied. And again, I don't want to blame anyone for how they are to this to be a cause for bullying, but sometimes there are greater risk of being bullied than others. The children that are least popular have fewer friends and are isolated, they tend to be bullied, while children who are more popular, they bully the other people. Remember what we said about being popular and getting attention-seeking behavior. It's a risk to be a bully. The one that is not popular, the one that doesn't have friends, it can easily be a target for people to get those bullying. Having physical characteristics like physical aspect, difference like being overweight, underweight, wearing glasses, having a physical disability, it could be taken as a cause for being bullied at school. Again, I don't want to blame the victim for being overweight, but sometimes it is not on their hands, and this happened to be a cause. And I'm pretty sure 90% of all the ones that are listening here to this presentation today, like me, we saw how those children that were physically disabled, they used to be overweight and underweight, they used to be easily the target for bullying from students in our schools. Other factors include having belongings to a different racial group, wearing clothes that children consider uncool, like children that are not guiding themselves by the fashion and they dress in a different way to others, could be a target for other people. Like having a cognitive disability, having been seen as an annoying, be seen as weak or defenseless or unlikely to defend themselves, perceived as socially uncomfortable with fewer friends, being isolated. This is something that we said. Being isolated is one of the leading causes for being bullied at school. If you parents learn how to recognize some of the things that cause them to have bullying, if you see a kid that they don't want to go to school, they usually like to go to school, usually like hang out, but suddenly it tells you something like this: no, I don't want to go back to school, I want to stay at home, I have a headache or something like that. This is a very concerning signal that you parents need to learn how to recognize first, at least. Sometimes they report stomach ache, discomfort, and there is just not medical reason for that. They report to have fever and they don't really have fever. Those kind of excuses not to go to school, it could be a cause for bullying, so take care of that. They're having nightmares, they have trouble sleeping, they don't want to hang out with friends, they avoid social situations, they ended up having panic outside. So those are leading causes for children, for parents to see how the children can react to an event of bullying at the school. Suddenly the student, your child, the person, returns home with unexplained injury. They seem to have low self-esteem. They lock himself in the room. They seem irritable at home. They report that their books, electronics, and other belongings are lost or destroyed. Suddenly he comes with the backpack that is kind of destroyed, mess. Who did that to you? Oh no, I'm just uh, leave it outside and it was raining, and kind of excuses for that. And the other is that they eat less, they skip breakfast or dinner, and the most concerning one of the most concerning one is that their grades are dropping, and they doesn't seem interested in school no more. You see that your kid was all A grades at the school, and suddenly he's failing on some of those classes. Have a concern because of this, because there could be a bully cause of this. Like I said, 50% of victims of bullying present post-traumatic stress disorders. Those are some of the consequences that this can bring to our children in the short term. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, nightmares, anxiety, insomnia, panic. 54% suffer also from depression and low self-esteem. We have been talking a lot about the consequences of developing anxiety and depression in the early stages of life. Victims of bullying were 6 times more likely to have a serious diagnosis, smoke, and develop a psychiatric disorder and drug addiction. A study from 2014 from the King College in London, England, they found that negative social, physical, and mental effects were still evident 40 years later. I saw a video the other day. This guy who was advocating, this was an old guy, who was advocating for anti-bullying policies at school. And he went to the city council of the board of education, and he went and made a speech. And he told all of them, the people from the council, from the board, he told the story and about how he was bullied at the school 40 years before. And you know what happened? He ended up pointing at the director, the president of the council, and he pointed at him and says, "Do you remember when you used to that to me?" So the board president, the superintendent, the director, the president of the board of education of that place, that city, was the one who commit the bullying to that person 40 years before. Well, end of the story. The guy resigned. It was a total mess. Fine. But what I wanted to say to you is how still 40 years later, the guy was suffering from the consequence of bullying. And those effects are depression, anxiety, agoraphobia, social environment, hate, worst grades, suicidal thoughts. And in the long term, difficulty trusting other people, interpersonal difficulties, avoidance of social situations, social phobia, loss of esteem, hateful feelings, and fewer job opportunities. Does this happen at church? Yes, it is. According to Clark Burbidge, the author of a book called Giants in the Land, he shares that bullying in church is not necessarily different. Yes, since we are in a very positive and understanding place, we are in a community of brothers and sisters that we have a common goal, that is the church. We may think that church doesn't happen here at church, but it do. But it's expressed in a more subtle way. We can see hurtful or derogatory comments in a very nice and positive way. Still bullying. Children also, they suffer from bullying at school. In our Christian Adventist schools, it happened to, and we need to take care of all this. One of the ways that we can learn how to treat or teach our children in order to deal with the bullying is teaching our children to resolve interpersonal conflicts. How's this? Is conflict necessary? Yes. You may say, wow, yes, if we live on this earth and having conflict is part of the human development. It's not about not having conflict, it's about how to solve those conflicts. Children need to see and have conflict with their peers positively. You know, how can I say? Healthy conflict. Let's say it's about this. An investigation according to the mental health of children and adolescents in the United States investigated 235 families with children between the ages of 5 to 7 and found that those children whose parents argued in front of them constructively felt much safer and had better social skills. Like if I am having a conflict, an argument with my wife, and my children are listening, if I am having a conflict, but we are able to solve it, we are able to move on, we are able to teach, our children are listening, they are watching, and they're learning through us the way to doing the same. Conflict is good and it's necessary in the development of human being. You know, expressing their emotion, expressing their feelings. I remember that I had a family of four kids, do you remember? And then the mother was telling me, hey, my kids fight all the time. I don't know what can I do with them. And I was like, wow. What are they fighting about? I don't know. They are fighting all the time. Is this okay? I just want to give them, each one of them, a cell phone, and lock them in each room, so they don't fight again. And I was like, do you think that's going to be the solution? And she told me, well, at least I feel more calmer. Well, yes, you may you may be a little bit more calm, but they didn't learn anything. Let them fight. And she was like, wow. Let them argue. How's that? Yes. What are they fighting about? Okay, they fight who's gonna go first to the shower. Apparently, it's a very simple argument. Something really simple, something that doesn't deserve to be a cause for fighting and having conflict among adults. But among children, that could be a very problematic issue. Who's going first to the restroom? Who's going first to the shower? Who's going to take a shower first? If they don't learn how to solve this situation when they are 6, 7 years old, don't expect that they solve even more high problem situations that adults face every day. They need to face and solve issues like that. So let's start solving this first. Okay, let's solve this. Let's negotiate. Let's do in a chart who's going first. They finally ended up having a contract, a solution, conflict resolution for the issue of who's going to go to the shower first. But they learn to do this. They learn to have that conflict because this is what will prepare them for that. The other aspect is emotional education and psychological therapy, like expressing their feelings. Let them express how they feel and be their trust so they can talk to you. Avoiding turning this topic a taboo. Learn how to diagnose the symptoms, like the therapy sometimes help them release the automatic thoughts, deal with the emotional aspect, with the depression and with the anxiety that they're suffering. Also, another issue of dealing with the bullying is take them out of the phone, take them out of this. And here is why. Back in our times when we were kids, when I was a kid, when parents were kids, they didn't have time for cell phone. So 90% of their day was talking real to people face to face, being outside in a park, being outside talking to real people. Right now they don't talk to people, they don't show emotions, and they don't talk to people, they only talk to machines. They think they're talking to people, they in reality is a false screen. They're talking to a device, they're talking to a cell phone. They may think that their friend is on the other side of the phone, but they're not talking, they're not showing emotions, because the phone is just black and white, it's just yes or no, doesn't show emotions, it just show emojis. So this is really important to know, that our children need to interact face to face. Back in our time, how do we face the bullying? I wait for you outside behind of the gym and I will beat the hell out of you. In reality, that doesn't work either. They're teaching them how to react to violence. So right now, we need to teach them being smart and interact to real people. Whenever they have the opportunity to talk to someone, let them do it. I was talking to two teenagers. Two of them were 15 years old. One of them was raised in a very social environment neighborhood where he was outside all the time, talking to the other kids, playing around. This guy was 15 years old and he was able to have a very adult conversation with me. He was able to talk about a lot of issues, real issues. He was able to express his emotions clearly in a very positive way. The other kid was also 15 years old. He was raised locked down in his room with a cell phone in his hand. He was not able to have a very long conversation with me. He wasn't able to look at me and have eye contact with me. He wasn't even able to have a very long conversation about a very serious issue. All he was talking about was PS4, PlayStation. I don't know. That's how they say. So you can see how this can make a huge difference on our kids. The other is therapy, psychotherapy. They address the concerns, the cognitive, the social, the low self-esteem that they can have. We can work that in psychotherapy. And lastly, one of the most, I would like to provide to you some tools in order to solve this issue and talk to someone if you need to. There is the helpline phone that is called the Stomp Out Bullying. That is a very free, confidential online chat that helps young people from the ages of 13 to 24 with problems related to bullying and cyberbullying, in addition to providing support to youth and that might be at risk of suicide. The helpline is called the Stomp, STOMP Out Bullying Helpline. When the helpline is not available, you can contact the National Suicide Prevention Line at 1-800-273-TALK or 8255. There is a website from the government, from the federal government, that is called stopbullying.gov. And if you don't live in the USA, It's called the International Suicide Hotline Resources outside the US. International Suicide Hotline and Befrienders Worldwide. You know, if you have a teenager that is shy, doesn't interact to each other, just take it out. Take it out. This, you know, put him to talk to people. If they're already in the work age related, that they're 15, 16 years old, put them in the part-time work so they can actually learn how to deal with different personalities. And if they happen to be a kid, always talk to them, let them express their emotions, let them have conflicts with others, positive conflicts, and let them socialize in a very healthy and positive way. Bullying is a very concerning issue nowadays at church, at places, at the school. It's something that our church needs to be ready to affront because this is growing, constantly growing. Like you have seen all the data that I had shown you about the reality of bullying and how bullying is constantly growing. So I would like to recommend you guys to keep researching about this issue, keep researching about all these concerns. So I would like to ask you for questions that you may have, but obviously kind of impossible to do this in this, in this meeting presentation. So I would like to thank each one of you. I would like to thank you, all the one that has been looking to this presentation. God bless you, and let's work. Let's pray for our children. Let's work on this issue about bullying. Our churches, our schools are in need to deal with this issue. So thank you very much for taking the time to attend to this presentation again. God bless you. I recommend you to keep being connected to the Agape conference. Be connected to all this, all right? So thank you very much and have a very blessed day. Bye.